It seems like you can and arts quote turn on your TV or read a news story without hearing about a new business startup raking in millions of dollars. In fact, it and arts quote has never been easier to start a business thanks to a wide range of online resources including incorporation documents, website analytics, freelancers, drop shipping providers, and affiliate marketing. However, most people just don't and arts quote have the cash to start their first business, which prompts many to borrow business loans in order to get their first businesses off the ground. While borrowing a business loan can seem intimidating, in truth it is a straightforward process. Here and arts quote is how it works. Shopping for a lender first. A borrower needs to decide where to borrow a business loan from. There are banks, credit unions, investors, and even crowdfunding options to choose from when it comes to picking the right lender. Peter Burns, founder and chairman of the Three Funding Partners, feels that banks are no longer desirable for entrepreneurs looking for financing. NLD quote only alternate lenders, private money sources will be able to assist the startup entrepreneur and quote, said Burns in an email. While banks have certainly seen better days, not all of them are in dire straits. Local and community banks are often more than willing to discuss a business loan with an enterprising long-time customer. Traditional lenders aside, the information age has spawned a new form of lending. Crowdfunding, the latest trend in business startup financing, is the pooling of investor funds into a new type of business loan, which is then given to an aspiring entrepreneur. But this new type of business loan ISN and arts quote and LD quote loan and RID quote, in the traditional sense. Instead of paying these investors back with money, the crowdfunding entrepreneur repays them with certain product perks that scale in size with the investment. Alexander Cohen, CEO of Liberty SBF, and Alex Promptbaum, VP of Credit and Underwriting at Liberty SBF, discussed the benefits of crowdfunding while also cautioning potential borrowers. NLD quote crowdfunding has proved to be an innovative source of funding for early-stage businesses and RID quote, said Cohen and Promptbaum. NLD quote any entrepreneur who elects to utilize crowdfunding must be aware of the different rules and regulations that each different crowdfunding company has, and any strings attached to the money. And RID quote, is seen with this innovative approach to acquiring capital. Business lending has changed in recent years, a fact that new entrepreneurs should be well aware of when trying to borrow their first business loans. Not your daddy and arts quote business environment. NLD quote commercial banks were once the primary source of lending for small businesses. However, in the wake of the Great Recession, which began in 2007, many banks were forced to drastically reduce their lending operations in order to deal with problem loans and RID quote, said Cohen and Promptbaum. NLD quote this has opened the door for a number of new finance companies to enter the market and provide the liquidity on which small businesses rely. And RID quote, entrepreneurs are now able to borrow business loans in an increasingly automated business lending environment. NLD quote this saves the borrower an incredible amount of time and effort and puts him/her in touch only with a bank or other lender that is likely to give a loan. And RID quote, said Rohit Arora, CEO and co-founder of These to Credit, in an email. NLD quote you don't and arts quote have to walk into a bank, fill out mountains of paperwork with no guarantee of success. And RID quote, putting pen to paper once a borrower has found the right lender, then they need to gather their paperwork. Burns explained that while each business lender has their own requirements for applying for a business loan, in the end there is basic information virtually all lenders require: an executive summary of the business, copy of the principals and arts quote, credit report, repayment plans, and more. NLD quote for starters, a new company needs to have a professional business plan that outlines what the business will be, what industry it will compete, the competitive landscape of the industry and geographic area. And RID quote, said Arora. He explained that the business plan should outline the business and arts quote, competitive advantage along with why the business owner thinks it will succeed. Financial documents, such as tax returns, must also be included in an application. After reviewing the collateral, business plan, borrower and arts quote's personal financial information, and repayment terms, the lender will approve the business loan and the borrower will then be able to fund their first business. Unfortunately, not everyone receives approval for a business loan. And Arts be a reject. Aside from incomplete applications, there are a number of problems that can disqualify business loan applicants. NLD A recent 2 years or less bankruptcy or unsatisfied liens and judgment will derail any application for funding, even from private sources and said Burns. He continued to explain that an inability to plan repayment, along with a lack of collateral, were also common reasons for disqualification. Aurora agreed that credit was very important to an application and Arts' rate of success. NLD If a borrower has a very poor credit history, that naturally hurts the chances of securing funding and he said. The nonsensical or illogical business plan would also be a red flag in the eyes of loan officers. Burns suggested that partnering up with a seasoned entrepreneur could make a huge difference in being approved for a loan. NLD Experience to count and he said. NLD Credit and assets are important, but having a co-borrower or established business person attached to your effort will certainly help. NL's The cause. And Arts and rejection aside, even if a borrower is approved for a business loan, he or she had best remember that it must be repaid. Failing to repay a business loan can endanger the livelihood of not just the business, but of the borrower. Payback is a cinch. NLD One key thing is to pay on time and said Aurora. NLD You want to establish a good credit rating at the very start of the company's business operations. And however, even the best laid plans can fall victim to unforeseen problems. No matter how well written a business plan is or how great a product is, sometimes accidents can cause a massive delay in achieving a profit. NLD Provisions should be made to extend the payment terms with the lender, should the plans for the expected repayment terms be interrupted for any reason and said Burns. NLD Negotiating for this before the loan is funded is key. Once a pattern of borrowing and repaying on time and in full is established with a lender, larger amounts and better terms will follow. And no one wants to be in debt, but borrowing a business loan to start a new business can be the best choice many new entrepreneurs ever took. Aside from making money for the business owner, it can lead to creating jobs and growth in the community. Borrowing a business loan should be and Arts be taken lightly, but it can be the best step towards building a business empire.